The push-pull leg split and the upper and the lower split are some of the best splits out of all training splits. And unlike the bro split that only works well with beginners or advanced enhanced bodybuilders, these two splits have a much broader receiving range. Whether you are natural or enhanced, a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced, you can all achieve great training results by following these two splits. That's why they have always been my favorite training split until just a few months ago. I call these two splits the twin splits because the concept behind these two splits is almost identical. It is only some minor training volume distribution that separates one split from the other. And if you don't believe me, give me a few minutes and I will let you know why these seemingly two different splits are in essence secret twins. Welcome to Fast Track Gains. I'm here to help you accelerate your gains. This is the third episode of my sixth series, Training Splits. Okay, push-pull legs versus upper and lower body. You may be wondering how they can be called twins, as according to the names, the former is clearly movement pattern focused, and the latter is still body part mind focused. Well, just like real twins in real life still have different names for identification purposes, it is the mother, the concept behind these two different splits that make them really the twin splits. And this concept, unless you are truly an advanced lifter with years of training experience, might be the simplest yet the most logical concept for most people to run their weight training programs. Focus on basic compound movements, give your body enough time to recover, and you will grow. And the reason why this concept is superior is multifold. Number one, concentration on compound exercises. As you only have 2 days or 3 days per week to meet your weekly training volume, there is little time you can waste on isolation movements or so-called pump work. Hard and taxing compound movements are going to be the meat and potatoes of your training, and that means bench press and dips for pushing, pull-ups and T-bar rows for pulling, and squat and Romanian deadlift for legs. And let me tell you, that is a good thing for 95% of gym bros out there, because only basic compounds can build you a solid foundation of your physiques. And both push-pull legs and upper and lower body split will ensure that you stick to the basics most of the time. Number two, emphasis on movement patterns. This is actually part of point number one, but it is worth mentioning this part just by itself. This point is pretty much self-explanatory with the push-pull leg split. All the training volume is divided by different movement patterns. Push day is horizontal push and vertical push. Pull day is vertical pull and horizontal rows. And the leg day is squat and hinge. In the case of upper and lower split, the lower body day is still squat and hinge. The only difference is combining the pull day and push day together and make it an upper body day. Because movement pattern is at the forefront of designing these two splits, and you have to use multiple muscle groups all together to complete a certain movement pattern. You have a much better chance to master the proper biomechanics, develop muscle coordination, and prevent muscle imbalance. All these things are related to your training longevity. And you know what they say? The person who is the biggest is the one who gets to train the longest. Number three, minimizing body part training interference. This is a natural byproduct of point number two. As certain muscle groups work together to finish a particular movement pattern and are not contributing in a different movement pattern. When you divide your training volume according to movement patterns, you also minimize the issue of overlapping training volume. On a bro split program, your triceps could be the main primary mover on your chest day, shoulder day, and arm day, depending on your own biomechanics. And that could be an overkill weekly volume for your triceps and make it extremely hard for them to recover. Whereas on push-pull legs or upper and lower splits, your triceps normally only get trained once per week, or at most twice per week. This will leave them enough time to recover from the last training session. You don't grow during training, you grow during recovery. And on a once per week baseline, both push-pull legs and upper and lower body split can provide some sound recovery window for your muscle growth. Now you understand why the concept is superior. It is time to discuss why the application of this concept, the two splits, are also superior. Number one, high versatility. If you're like most people who can only afford to train twice or 3 times a week, then both splits work perfectly well for you. You just run the once a week baseline volume and Bob is your uncle. And you may want to consider using the rest of your training time to do some weekly cardio, since that can be even more important to your overall health. However, of the chance that you are a fitness fanatic and you really want to dedicate yourself to the gym, both splits can certainly allow you to become a true hardcore lifter. Just run the split twice a week if you are willing to accept the challenge. I can tell you that personally, as hardcore as I am, I have never been able to train my legs all out twice per week. The best I could manage was a leg day once every 5 days, which means that I couldn't run the split twice per week. But that is actually not an issue. You can definitely introduce one more arm day on top of once per week baseline volume, or mix two splits together and create a new weekly split like pull, push, legs, rest, and upper, or lower, rest, upper, rest, and arms. As there are 2 to 3 floating days where you can use or not use to suit your own training circumstances. These two splits are arguably the most versatile splits out of all training splits. Number 2, emphasis on the lower body. On a bro split, a leg day only accounts for 20% of the total training volume, which gives so many gym bros a perfect excuse to skip the leg day and still feel just fine. Well, this kind of excuse does not work well for push-pull legs, as that's a third of your training volume. And it definitely does not work for upper and lower body split, as that's literally half of your training volume. I hate to break the news to you, but all you gym bro know damn well that almost 70% of your total muscle mass is in your lower body. And both of these two splits, by their very names, force you to not skip leg day. And if you don't love leg day, you are not a true bodybuilder. Number 3, easy enforcement on volume modifiers. Talking about enforcement, this point might be the most important reason why these two seemingly two different splits are in essence the twin splits. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, as the training volume has to be ramped up over time to induce muscle growth, you have to comply with the 3 volume modifiers more stringently over time in order to avoid injuries and fatigue. Now, out of the 3 volume modifiers, the most important volume modifier is 3:1 pull to push ratio. This ratio is very difficult to be enforced on a bro split, but on these two splits, the enforcement is much easier. On an upper and lower split, all you have to do is follow a pull, push, pull training order, and that will give you a 2:1 pull to push ratio. Less ideal than 3:1, but you can definitely do a bit more pulling volume on another day. On push-pull leg split, all you have to do is divide your pushing day volume by half and replace it with pulling volume, and keep your pulling day volume. This will create a 0.5 plus 1 pull to 0.5 push ratio, which is exactly 3:1 pull to push ratio. And when you analyze these two splits from the lens of volume modifiers, all of a sudden, you will find these two splits are virtually the same. The only difference is how you want to distribute your pulling volume. And that's the reason why I call these two splits the twin splits. And on the flip side, despite so many shared strengths, the two splits do also share some of the same weaknesses. Those weaknesses are dwarfed by their shared strengths, but are still weaknesses nonetheless. Number one, the emphasis on isolation movements. As I said in previous video, isolation movements are not the problem themselves. Majoring in the minors is indeed a big problem for a lot of beginners. But completely relying on basic compound movements to cover everything is not a realistic solution either. There's a time and a space for isolation movements, particularly when you are an advanced hypertrophy trainee and have some lagging body parts that need some catch-up work. In this instance, isolation exercises have to be supplemented to bring up the lagging body parts. That's why it is very common for people to throw in one more arm day on top of these two splits. Number two, high probability that your arms will be the lagging body parts. Talking about arms, the biggest drawback of these two splits is that your guns may not be so blazing like the bro split followers, as both splits focus on compound movements, and for most people, the arms, in particular your biceps, are only going to be the secondary or even third mover instead of primary movers in those movements. There's a high chance that your arm development will be lagging once you're at your late intermediate phase. If having a big pair of guns is a top priority for you, then these two splits may not be the best for you. However, as there is really not so much muscle you can grow on your arms compared to the rest of the body, personally, I would accept this trade-off and choose to do some catch-up arm work once I've developed the rest of my body. Number three, probability of burnout. This is the other side of the coin of high versatility, and it is only meant for true hardcore lifters. If you run both splits twice per week, or even better, run upper and lower split 3 times per week, very likely you are going to burn yourself out very quickly, because your body is not designed to handle hard and heavy compound movements on such a high frequency long term. That's why even the most dedicated IFBB professional bodybuilders will not use both splits on a twice per week basis. So yeah, it can be a problem, but more than likely it will not be your problem. Alright, as you can see, all the weaknesses associated with these two twin splits, they're minor flaws compared to their shared strengths. And the concept behind these two splits is rock solid, particularly at your intermediate phase. Progression on basic compounds, rest and recover, and you will grow. And that's the reason why I call these two splits the intermediate foundation. That's it, guys. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. In the next episode, I will talk about my analysis of total body split, which I call it the most nuanced split. Stay tuned, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.